It's the battle for the coveted green and gold jersey as Australia's best descend on Ballarat. Across 4 days of racing, there's the Criterium, the time trial and the road races. It all kicks off in the heart of Ballarat with the Criterium, fast racing, risky and big prizes at stake. Caleb Ewan, he steps up from the under-23s to be the favourite in the elite race. In the women's, Sarah Roy, can she return and defend her title? As for the under-23s, we look to see the stars of the future. And Steele von Hoff, he desperately wants to take that jersey to Europe once again. The green and gold rush is on. Hello and welcome to Ballarat for the 2015 Mars Cycling Australia Road National Championships. I'm Matthew Keenan, joined by Phil Liggett and Rochelle Gilmore. Big week of racing ahead. Phil, what are you most looking forward to?
I think, like many people, the blue ribbon of the event is indeed the men and the professionals, among the professionals, and the women elite. That's the weekend. But tonight here in Ballarat, conditions are extremely hot, rain is threatened, believe it or not, and the racing is always exciting.
Rochelle?
Well, I'm really excited about the Criterium tonight. I like the very close, fast racing, and we've just come off the Bay Cycling Classic where Chloe Hosking won this series, so she'd be one of the favourites for tonight. But the Orica AIS team are so strong. They've got Gracie Elvin, the reigning champion Sarah Roy, the sprint star Lizzie Williams, so a very hard team to beat.
I'm really looking forward to the men's individual time trial amongst the elites on Thursday. It is one of the strongest you would ever see in the world for a national title. And then Gracie Elvin, can she get the hat trick in the road race on Saturday? Any predictions for tonight, Phil?
Well, we've seen some glean of form coming through in the Bay Classic Series. Alex Edmondson, 2 times Team Pursuit World Champion, he's going to be firing, and possibly Hurricane Hamilton might do something.
The women's, one name?
I think Peter Mullins is a pretty safe bet for tonight.
Peter Mullins, she's going to take us around the course as we take a look at the circuit for the Criterium title.
Here we are, day one of the Mars National Road Championships, and this year we're kicking off with the Criterium. We're in for a scorcher. The sun's come out and it's topped 40 degrees today. Here we are in the top corner. It's a hot dog circuit. We've just come up the rise and we're heading down the back straight now. It's a really gradual descent, quite high speeds. It's quite hard to stay away in a breakaway on this course unless the peloton wishes you to. So the lead-out trains will be well and truly organised by this point as we head into this bottom corner. It's quite tight and quite off camber. It's best to be second wheel. We're heading up the hill now into the finishing straight. It's a nice little headwind this year. Last year Edmondson crashed with Chloe Hosking and Gracie Elvin in this straight, so it's a dangerous one. And we're at 150 metres to go. This is where the girls will start to launch off their lead-out wheel. 50 metres to go, and it's just that last lunge to the line to crown your first Australian Champions of the Year.
Peter Mullins there taking us through the course. This is Carsten Chapman, Phil. He's 6'7". That's big for a bike rider. Makes his way to the sign-on.
Yes, all signing in, 69 riders taking the start, Matt, and I think we're going to have a very active race here.
We've got Alex Edmondson in the field. He's a multiple world champion on the track. We've got the young rising stars of Australian cycling. Chris Hamilton is amongst them. He's a good mountain biker. There's Alex Edmondson, one of the riders to watch. Jesse Kerrison, he's riding with the BMC team. Scott McGrory caught up with him before the start.
Not a normal Criterium, though. This is a very difficult finish up this hill.
Yeah, definitely. It's a hard one to judge as well. People go early, people go late, and there's no real perfect sprint. So it's just see how I feel at the time and go. But to be honest, I think it might not even come down to one because there's no real team to keep it together. So I think it's going to be a real aggressive race.
I'd like a bunch sprint, to be honest, but I just don't see it going that way today. So I'll be keeping my eye out for groups, and my prediction is it'll be maybe a group of 10, 15 of the strongest guys, and if it's a sprint of that, I'll be pretty happy if I'm there.
Ready to make a start. The gun gets them underway. We get the 2015 Mars Cycling Australia Road National Championships started. And Phil, the under-23s, always an exciting race to watch because you don't dare make a prediction who might win.
No, because these guys are so full of youthful enthusiasm. They want to get on with their job. And unfortunately for Alex Edmondson, he's going to be a marked man here. He's going to sit and watch and wait because if he attacks, they'll all move with him.
He comes into this race with the biggest reputation, but he does have a couple of teammates with him. We heard from Robert McCarthy before the start of the race. He speaks with a thick Irish accent, but he's now very much an Australian.
Tricky bend here, and well, there's nice blue fluffy clouds above the sky, but I tell you what, it's raining all around in the state of Victoria right now, and it might come here as the attacks are beginning. It looks like Ben Carman having a go.
This is a 30-lap race, so it's 33 kilometres, and they go through for the first of the intermediate sprints with Darcy Woolley taking the points for the Jayco sprint classification. Bowden in second, Thomas was in third place. So they're getting through this race quickly, and there's attacks going off the fronts.
Yes, that's a little sprint race within the race, but of course they all want to be first man back at the end of the 30 laps, and that's what really counts.
This is Alex Edmondson, so he's not concerned about being heavily marked. He wants to go off the front on his own.
A little bit surprised about that move. It might be just a tip of the toe in the water to test who's paying attention, but you can see the sheer speed of this team pursuiter. He's a world champion at team pursuiting, and he's got such a top-end speed.
He is going to cause a big reaction as Edmondson makes his way towards the front as they head down the back straight. Just on 18 kilometres still remaining. One of the riders from Western Australia is trying to stay on terms with the big South Australian. This bottom corner, it makes you nervous every time they head into it.
It's a worrying corner because if the rain does come, that's a slightly adverse camber, and that's where the riders could easily go down. All dry at the moment as they turn up towards the finishing line. We're getting 3 riders here now coming together.
This is Jason Lowndes now coming through to the front. We know he arrives with some good form. It's the sort of course that he could perform well on. We saw him recently at the Mitchelton Bay Cycling Classic. He was very aggressive there.
But you can just see the reaction now by the field. They're not going to allow anything to make a move just yet. It is so humid out here as well. This is going to sap the strength of these riders, and they've scrabbled the back. They've reformed the peloton at the front.
They're at exactly the halfway mark. 30 laps, 15 down. That makes it just over 15 kilometres remaining. Jack Beckinsale riding towards the front for Avanti Racing. They're a team that has produced 7 riders from a development squad effectively up into the biggest stage in the world, the World Tour, and they're really proud of Richie Porte.
And well, they should be too, and we'll be seeing plenty of Richie Porte, I think, over these next few days of the Australian National Road titles. We've got a bit of a move again here. I think this is Ben Carman having a dig once more.
He has been very aggressive. He's not living up to his moniker, Carman. He's not at all calm.
He's been very, very aggressive throughout this race. But Edmondson, apart from that flurry, he's gone back into the field now, and he's monitoring the moves, and we've got another one coming our way right now.
The Charter Mason team, they're looking to try and set up for the win with a breakaway. They don't really have a noted sprinter in this race. They will later on this evening with Shannon Johnson, but for now, at least the under 23s, they're looking to go solo.
Serious move, immediately pounced on by 2 other riders. Looks like Carman has come up to them yet again here. We're getting 3 riders together.
It is Carman who is on the front as they round that top corner. The celebration colours sitting in second position as they go around the corner. That was Matthew Slee that has managed to join the leading group of 3. Here he is, the fast part of the course, so on the downhill.
I'll tell you what, Matt, these constant attacks, this is the Queenslander on the front, or was Matthew Slee there, as the lights are on the vehicles too, and look at the change in the sky now. Clouds to the right, blue sky to the left. The rain could be coming.
Sam Crome riding for the Charter Mason team. He comes from not too far away from here in Bendigo. He likes racing in Ballarat, and there's a healthy rivalry between the towns of both Ballarat and Bendigo.
But you know, now we're in the second half of the race here as they come up this hill. This is hurting these legs of young men now trying to make the stepping stone up. That second sprint's gone through. Carman's held on there with 3 points. Sam Crome, the Victorian, up there, and Matthew Slee's held on in 3rd place.
The 2 sprints have been contested. It's just the final race for victory to come. The rain is starting to come down. There's just inside 10 kilometres left to race.
And the rain might have the final say here, you know, because the riders will have to take risks if they're going to hold it here. But this field very much all in it. Ballarat is a bustling regional city with grand old boulevards and heritage buildings providing a picturesque backdrop for a lively and modern city. Great cafes, wonderful restaurants featuring local produce, and some of the best antique and vintage shops in Australia can all be found here. The city is rich in culture, one of Victoria's must-see destinations.
We're inside the final 10 kilometres and there is plenty of action. This is Chris Hamilton at the front in the blue colours of Avanti Racing. He's joined by Dave Edwards from Charter Mason. And tagged onto the back is Matthew Ross from the Victorian Institute of Sport. Edmondson responding, but Phil, it's starting to rain.
It is, and we'll be looking to get away with this. We're running into the last few laps of the race, and I'll tell you what, these are familiar names. Somebody here has already gone down, and this looks like Rob McCarthy.
He has. He was one of the contenders beforehand, and he was looking to support Alex Edmondson. So that might leave Alex completely isolated.
Yes, and it's going to disrupt the chase back there. The peloton split into two bunches at the moment as Chris Hamilton brings them round here. Dave Edwards just tagged on to the back, the Queenslander. This is a serious move as three other riders trying to get across here, includes Ryan Thomas.
And Cummings is also in there amongst them. The good news is it stopped raining, and with how hot it's been throughout the day, temperatures of 40 degrees, the road will dry out quickly.
It dries out immediately. It's quite amazing, despite the spray still on our camera lens here. This is a really serious move, and Alex Edmondson should have monitored this one.
At the front, it's Hamilton, then Edwards, and now Ross is under pressure. We've seen him for the past week down by the bay in the Mitchelton Bay Cycling Classic. He won the support race there, but it's a slightly better field here.
Slightly better, and he's a very young man, and he'll find his legs, but at least he put himself in the right position here. It's not going to happen for him this time, but he's leaving two strong men now. Chris Hamilton, Dave Edwards here against the rest. And look at this, Edwards, the Queenslander, really putting those big legs to good use. Hamilton, though, boy, Hamilton's got such a big heart.
And there's not much of him. He's petite, he's a mountain biker. Edwards is a big, strong lad, and he spent the last season racing in France with the development squad, one of the world's biggest teams, AG Tour Le Mondial. You get a spot even on their development team, and you've got potential.
They spotted it, and now we are seeing it here as the Queenslander lines up again for the finishing line. They're running out of time here. The gap is hovering between 8 and 12 seconds on the field, but the field are confused because the sprinters don't want to chase, and others don't seem to be able to chase. There's a chance that they might just hang on to this small lead.
One to go, Ballarat. Phil, the advantage for the breakaway. Desperate times for the peloton.
A minute and 30 seconds away from the finish here. These two boys, aggression is paying off. They're not going to get brought back. The field are chasing desperately now, but the sprinters are thinking of the third place medal because those two are going to take it on. Now, who's going to get this one, Matt? The Queenslander or the man from Victoria?
Well, they can't afford too much cat and mouse as they start to negotiate as to who goes out of that final corner in first position. The advantage, though, rests with the two because sitting back in the peloton, a teammate of Edwards slowing them down. It's a sprint between Edwards and Hamilton coming from behind.
And now you can see the approach to the line here, and Dave Edwards has gone, but he's gone an awful long way out because that banner ahead is some 200 plus meters from the line. And look at the return of the man from Bendigo. Chris Hamilton goes over his shoulder. A Hurricane Hamilton they call him, and he's living up to it. We've survived the storm in the skies, but I'm afraid Dave Edwards has found a storm here on Sturt Street. He's won the national championship.
Chris Hamilton goes out the winner. It's Edwards with the silver medal, but the sprint is still on for bronze. It's Kerrison who gets there, just ahead of Alex Edmondson.
Well, this boy is going to be happy. He's got no strength left to smile, so a hug will do.
Now they have to convince him to turn his attention to the road, perhaps. This is Peter Mullins giving him a hug. Here's another look at the sprint. It looked as if Edwards might have had this within his grasp, but he went a long way from home, and Hamilton, so persistent, so strong, the biggest win in his career. But Phil, I like to use the word, so far there's bigger things to come.
I'm sure you're absolutely right, Matthew, because this boy timed it well, and he won by quite a few lengths there. He's got the biggest smile in Ballarat this evening for sure.
He's a humble young kid. He's looking forward to the future. He's the Australian champion. He's with Scott McGrory.
We thought you were a mountain biker. What are you doing winning an under-23 Criterium championship?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I didn't have a lot of expectations coming into this. I thought after coming off to Bay Crits, I was pretty happy with how my form was and that sort of thing. But yeah, just to win an Australian championship side, it's just amazing.
Fortune favours the brave. Jesse Kerrison, he steps out to collect the bronze medal. It's Edwards in second place with the silver. But what a performance by the man who takes gold and that Australian jersey.
Boy from Bendigo, listen to the crowd, he's a really popular winner tonight.
It's an infectious smile as well. He looks down humbly at the gold medal, being presented by Malcolm Speed, the new president of Cycling Australia.
New president meets a new champion.
The green and gold jersey, the target for Chris Hamilton long term for 2016 is the Rio Olympics on the dirt. He might follow in the footsteps of one Cadel Evans.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing, Matt, yeah.
Chris Hamilton, he goes out the winner, collecting the gold medal. In second position, his breakaway companion, David Edwards. It was then Jesse Kerrison rounding out the podium. Edmondson, he was fourth. Luke Parker, he rounded out the top 5. From the under 23 men, we turn our attention to the women. They're on the start line. They're just about ready to start. Kimberley Wells, she's amongst the favourites. So too Gracie Elvin, and Peter Mullins is one to watch.
If you're looking for something to do with the family this summer, Ballarat certainly has a lot to offer. There's the Ballarat Wildlife Park, where you can feed the animals, the world-famous Sovereign Hill, which brings Gold Rush history back to life, and Ballarat's 2 newest attractions, Cryal Castle, a medieval-themed adventure park, and the Museum of Australian Democracy at Eureka. And as we watched Peter Mullins sign in here, I'm now joined by Rochelle Gilmore for commentary on the Elite Women and the Under-23 Women's Championship. All of the riders anxious to go. They've just been watching the Under-23 men. They're in good spirits because the rain has gone off, Rochelle.
Well, it's holding off for now, but I think there'd be a lot of nervous riders. Let's hear from Chloe Hosking.
Chloe Hosking, we know your form is good. Can you win today?
Yes, I hope so. I don't know, I'll give it a go. I'm here alone, so it's going to be really hard, but there are a lot of girls here alone, so it'll be interesting to see how the race plays out.
What are you expecting out of the race today? What are the tactics from the other teams?
Well, you've got 2 pretty dominant sprinters in the race, myself and Chloe Hosking, and you've got a number of other riders that have a really strong sprint from a breakaway. So I imagine it'll be a lot of aggressive racing, people trying to get away from Chloe Hosking and myself.
Kimberley Wells there, the champion 2 years ago, but last year couldn't defend because she caught pneumonia just before the race, Rochelle. But now we're underway. Hey, look at the sky.
Well, there's some black clouds hanging around, so they're going to want to hope that it doesn't get wet out there because it's going to be extremely dangerous if it does. That bottom corner is tricky enough without it being wet.
Carly Taylor taking around the top end of the circuit here, but there'll be a cautious beginning, I think. The same distance, by the way, as the Under-23 men. That's 30 laps.
Well, Carly Taylor of the Lotto team, she's on the front there. You can see that she's pushing pretty hard. She wants to get this race underway and pick up the pace a little bit. She likes a harder race, Carly Taylor, so that's what she's trying to do on the front, force the pace a little bit.
Well, beneath those black clouds that are about to contest the first sprint of 2 on this event, and Peter Mullins keeping the pressure on, and none other than Chloe Hosking getting in second place. And I think it was Lorella Moss taking third place in the Jayco opening sprint. Mullins takes Hosking around the top.
Well, they're not slowing down. Peter Mullins is using this to her advantage. She wants to force the pace. She's asking Chloe Hosking to come through and work. But Peter Mullins, she has the most interest to try and pull this away and get a little breakaway because she would fancy her chances. There she puts her hand up. She says, come on, Chloe. But Chloe's a sprinter and she's thinking, hang on a sec. I don't want to be out here this long right from the start of the race.
Yes, she has got caught in the storm here. She doesn't want to be up here at all, I don't think, Chloe Hosking. So she's only going to follow Peter Mullins. We saw Peter Mullins congratulate her training partner from Bendigo there, Chris Hamilton, just before she got on a bike to ride this race. Now she's trying to emulate him and take out the women's title, and she's on her own.
This is interesting. Chloe Hosking has let the wheel go of Peter Mullins. It might be that she couldn't do work up there, or she didn't want to be out there for that long. She thinks there's going to be a reaction from Orica AIS, so she's decided, I'm just going to drop back, slip myself into the peloton, hide from the wind, because Orica AIS are very likely to light this race up.
Well, we've got Hosking, and then Carly Taylor comes through and over the top. Gracie Elvin gone through in third wheel there at the moment. No big attacks, but I might have spoken just a bit too soon here.
Well, that's Amanda Spratt from Orica AIS, and that'll be their team tactic today. They've only got 3 riders. A lot of people are talking about the strength of the Orica AIS team, and they are certainly strong riders from the, the European racing peloton, but they're only here in 3. Amanda Spratt, Lizzie Williams, the sprinter, and Gracie Elvin, who's in fine form.
Nice little carrot, Amanda Spratt here. She was the road race champion back in 2012. Never medalled in the Criterium.
She's being joined now by Jessie McLean of the ACT Academy of Sport, but Peter Mullins still out there by herself, so she's done a fabulous job to stay out there that long. Looks like the peloton's just closing in, because that's Orica AIS who have closed that down.
A little bit of a grimace there on the face of Lizzie Williams here, but she's come up and she's brought the field up and closed it all down. Peter Mullins just checking out who has returned to the sharp end of the field right behind her.
Well, it's interesting that Lizzie Williams was doing the work for Orica AIS there, because we would have thought with the turn of speed that she's got that she'd be the protected rider from Orica AIS, but she clearly did the work to pull that back. Roads are wet here. This is the corner we're talking about. Very tricky when they're wet.
Well, the rain is coming down, but it's far from torrential. It's just very big spots. It has wet the road, but the women are having no problem here, keeping up the pace. As we look here at Candell Hodges, who is a young rider and has got a little bit of talent, and she's giving a good push here. We're on to lap 19.
Her coach, Donna Ray-Zielinski, says that this rider is one of the best tactical riders she's ever seen. Can read a race like a book. She's obviously doing that very well today, because she's got a handy little break there. And with that rain coming down, oh, a little crash. That looked like it could have been
somebody
Peter
went down, yeah.
No, Lauren Kitchen just getting a handlebar straightened there. So she's been in good form, second at the Jayco Bay Cycling Classic. And now she's just had a little bit of a tumble, but she's got fine form, so I'm sure she'll get back in.
Well, that's pushed these 5 riders up front here, because they've taken the chance to join Hodges up front. I think Lizzie Williams has got in there. We'll check them out when we see them up the home straight, but they've got to be very careful as they come up here. And in fact, you've got Carly Taylor, who's got through, and she's on the front.
She's been followed there by Jess Mundy, who's just pulled off from her turn. But this is a very, very strong break. You see the peloton are still working to bring it back, but Jess Mundy on the front now. Peter Mullins she really wants this to work, so she's forcing the pace. Followed by Lizzie Williams of the Orica AIS, Jess Mundy, Carly Taylor and Candell Hodges, just hanging on to the back there.
You've got to take your hat off to Peter Mullins. She really is an aggressive bike rider. She kind of left the road to concentrate on riding mountain bikes for the Commonwealth Games, but she is such a superb circuit race rider. Look at her power now as she continues to lead the break. The historical villages surrounding Ballarat are a real treasure. Just 10 minutes away, Creswick's main street is busting with great cafes. A must-see is the Forest Resort with a world-class championship golf course. There's fishing, vineyards, amazing food. Another gem is Buninyong, a small village just out of the regional city of Ballarat, well known for its glorious Gold Rush era architecture and magnificent streetscapes. Host to this year's individual time trial and road race. Well, we're in the middle of the elite women's race here, and a very workmanlike group being led by Lauren Kitchen is getting clear.
Well, there's only 7 laps to go, Phil. So Lauren Kitchen, Gracie Elvin and Ruth Corser, that's a pretty strong break. See, there's no reaction at the moment from the peloton. They are working a little quite hard, but there's no real reaction.
We saw a lot of Lauren Kitchen in the Bay Classics, and Gracie Elvin as well when she won in Easton Park. And she's a long-distance road racing cyclist. She's going to be interested in Saturday when she'll try and defend for the 3rd year the Women's Road Race Championship. But this course suits her over this distance. The roads are drying again. The rain has just passed through. We've been so lucky. And these are 3 big riders in our sport.
We see Ruth Corset on the front. She won the National Road Series in Australia last year in fine form, very dominant. So even though this is a sprinter's race, a Criterium, flat and fast, she is a very, very strong rider, and she's got a handy little sprint on her as well.
Well, as they get around that corner, Kitchen is the first. The line is up towards the finish. The laps are ticking off here. The clouds are coming black again. Hey, look at this. This is Peter Mullins who's made a move, and she's catapulted out the pack.
Well, she's already had a very, very tough race. She spent a lot of time out there by herself earlier on in the race, but she is keen to get across to this and be in the hunt for the win today.
Well, that's another strong move by this woman. She will not give up.
She's very, very determined to make sure that she's racing for a win today here in the Criterium. She says that she's not particularly concentrating on today's race, that she wants to think a little bit more about Saturday's National Championship and also the Mountain Bike Nationals a week later.
Well, they're all together here, just on 50 metres from the line. They're all back in the big field, or the field now somewhat fragmented here.
Well, the team that should have the advantage coming into the finish would be the Orica AIS team, because you can see they've got 3 riders there. Peter Mullins having a good look around. You would think that she spent all of her biscuits being out there for the majority of the day, but Carly Taylor, another climber. So we're seeing the riders that are strong climbers like Ruth Corset and Carly Taylor really take this race on.
Well, she's going to take us into the last 2 laps of this race, and she's got a very big lead. They've been hit so hard chasing down Elvin, Corset and Kitchen. Have they got the strength to do it again? Because this could be the best time to make the move.
Well, Carly Taylor, she rides for the Belgium team Lotto, and she's won out in this race. She's got no teammates back there in the peloton, so she's just having a go at this chance for a victory in the Criterium. Bell lap, just 1 lap to go, and she's still off the front.
She's off the front, but can they close in here? The gap was just 7 seconds. That's a lot when you're only a kilometre from home. Everybody looking at each other here, round the bottom bend.
Well, it was Amanda Spratt of the Orica AIS that closed that down. Will they be leading out Lizzie Williams or Gracie Elvin? They've got 2 very, very fast finishers in this race. And you can see Gracie Elvin now, she's hit out, so she's obviously not going for the sprint. She's the lead out woman today. Here comes Peter Mullins. She's hit the front very early.
Mullins is trying to get through. Kimberley Wells is mixing in with it as well here. She's in the yellow on the left of our picture. Chloe Hoskin, by the way, retired last lap, so the big sprinter out of this now as Kimberley Wells, 2 years ago, the champion, is coming clear. Challenged only by Peter Mullins. She's got the title, and she is over the moon here. She's back after having pneumonia at this stage a year ago.
What a fantastic victory from Kimberley there. She's had fine form, 3 victories already this summer in Criterium Racing, so she's really stamped her authority and said, all right, she's happy with that. She's the Australian National Criterium champion.
And this is it, and this is how it happened. She came slowly up the hill, but she had packed a great sprint there as she came completely clear of the field. And as she crosses the line, we can now hear as she chats with Scott McGrory on the finish line.
Kimberley, you look a little bit tired. That's what happens when you sprint so far from the line.
I'm stuffed. That was a really hard sprint. I wanted to celebrate after the line, but I'm hurting so badly.
Well, you were full of confidence before the start. You were fired up after last weekend's racing, and I guess you just took it all out on the field then.
Yeah, that was an incredibly hard race. Maybe not in the first 10 laps, but once everyone started, they didn't let up.
Victorian Shannon Malseed won the women's under-23 ahead of Rebecca McKay and Tyler Evans of Victoria as well. Peter Mullins was the Jayco sprint ace, joined the event as well. And then the big 3, Lauren Kitchen in 3rd place from New South Wales. In 2nd, Peter Mullins, and the winner, Kimberley Wells.
Well, Phil, they are most definitely 3 of the best Criterium riders in Australia.
Let's confirm the results. Lauren Kitchen now in 3rd, Ruth Corset getting 4th. In 6th place, Shannon Malseed, who was the best under-23 rider. She got the gold medal for that. Next up, it's the men. It'll be the men against Caleb Ewan, the top sprinter. All smiles, the rain's still away. Matt Keenan joins me after the break. Ballarat's picturesque Lake Wendouree is famed for its recreational opportunities and a chance to get up close with nature. Right next to the lake is Ballarat's beautiful Botanic Gardens. A summer highlight is Summer Sundays concert series, held every Sunday throughout January. The Ballarat Beer Festival, that's coming up, and is one of the great attractions on Saturday the 24th of January.
It's an Australian title, but it's a world-class field. Graham Brown in the red colours, the dual Olympic Games gold medalist joining the Drapac team. Steele von Hoff, he signs on, the defending champion, keen to get the green and gold jersey back on his shoulders. Lee Howard, he's here to support the big favourite. Caleb Ewan, 20 years of age, the youngest in the race. The under-23 champion from last year, he's in the elites this time. Can he do it? He's with Scott McGrory.
You know you've got good form, sprinting very well and also very strong on a course like this with the hill in it. So I guess you must have a lot of confidence coming in though.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes down to a sprint, I'm pretty confident, but you know, it doesn't always come down to a sprint as we saw in the under-23 race. And yeah, so I can really just sit there and hope for it to be a sprint, and I think if it comes down to that, I'll do pretty well.
If it is a bunch kick, it's going to be quite difficult because it's a fair headwind up the home straight, so whoever kicks out first, it's going to be quite long, so it's going to be hard to predict.
70 riders take the start line in the Elite Men's Criterium Championship. Caleb Ewan in the centre of the pitch of the white colours from the Orica Green Edge team. He comes in as the big favourite, the youngest rider in the race. He won the under-23 title last year, both the Criterium and the road race. It's unusual to see such a young man so heavily marked.
It is, especially when you're just 20.5 years of age, but that mark him they will. And wherever he goes, rest assured the others will follow.
One man that will be easy to mark is Michael Rogers, wearing the new colours for Tinkoff Saxo. There he is on the front. Can't miss him.
No, you can't. So yellow is the colour here, or lime green. I'm not too sure. Michael Rogers, 3 times a world champion. We've got a little bit of move here by Paul van der Ploeg.
This is Paul van der Ploeg, a former world champion in his own right, in the mountain bikes, in the Eliminator. He's got plenty of power. He's also got his brother back in the race, who's riding for Avanti, Neil van der Ploeg. Now, this is a reaction, though, that's coming from Cameron Bailey, who is very strong. Could be a strong duo out in front.
Bailey trying, you see the bandage on the leg there of van der Ploeg. He got those a couple of days ago in a little crash in the Bay Series, but now these two are loosening up nicely here.
A good opportunity for some of the smaller teams of Australian cycling to challenge Orica Green Edge and Drapap, who have got much bigger budgets. This is Cameron Bailey on the left. He rides for the Search to Retain Health.com.au team. As we can see, van der Ploeg, he's looking to try and collect sprint points along the way as well in the battle for the Jayco jersey. James Butler now responds.
Another man who excelled in the support races in the Bay Classic Series, so he's got the form. Now can he get away from the race? Drapap, red jerseys come to the fore.
And they've got an enormous amount of numbers. They've got Brenton Jones as one of the contenders, but let's not forget that also in amongst it is Graham Brown, new recruit across the team. He's a dual Olympic Games gold medalist. Here's the Jayco sprint. It's Paul van der Ploeg. He collects 3 points in the race for that classification. Bailey was in second position.
And Graham Brown, you were just talking about him, Matt, nipped out the third position, 1 point there. This boy almost went into a speed wobble getting around the top end.
He'll be fine. He's a mountain bike world champion. But he does weigh in at 96 kilograms. By comparison to somebody like Caleb Ewan, who would barely be 60, he's got plenty of weight.
Cheers from the roadside. The crowd has been building right through the late afternoon into the early evening here in Sturt Street. It's still very, very hot and muggy, and we're still not sure the rain will stay away.
A new duo off the front. This is Pat Lane for African Wildlife Safari. He's joined by Aaron Donnelly of Avanti Racing.
Still a big peloton. The 40-lap race now approaching half distance here with Donnelly and Lane on the attack.
Worth noting that for Caleb Ewan, he's got just one teammate to support him, as Lee Howard, and he's responding to the breakaway. Howard in the white colours, he sits on the wheel of Ben Hill from Charter Mason.
And the 4 of them have come together there. Still no reaction, and you know, we've seen hardly nothing of Caleb Ewan, nor indeed Steele von Hoff, or indeed Brenton Jones, the 3 big names people have been talking about before the start.
Generally a good sign for them. They're conserving energy well. The yellow colours at the front end of the main peloton, that's the budget forklift team. They're working for Scott Sunderland, who you and I are accustomed to seeing on the track, a former world champion in the team sprint. He's trying to contend with the climb up Sturt Street. A big task for Scott.
If he keeps this on, this is Ben Hill still on the move here. The laps are now on the countdown as he continues here. Settles in nicely. He's free to fly at the moment.
Hasn't he had an aggressive start to the year? Winner of the sprint classification at the Mitchelton Bay Cycling Classic. He doesn't want the sprint jersey here. He wants the green and gold jersey. He wants to be crowned Australian champion.
Cameraman gets around the top of the circuit again, swings into the finishing straight here now as he looks up at the long steady climb. It's a long way up to the line. It is a difficult sprint to judge, but for the moment Ben Hill isn't worried about a sprint.
But before this race got underway, we saw footballers on bikes. Brock McLean, recently retired from the Carlton Football Club, took on Luke Ball of Collingwood. They're raising awareness for the Fiona Elsie Cancer Research Institute and the Ballarat Cycle Classic, which raises money for that important cause. Brock McLean, his father, recently diagnosed with cancer. Luke Ball, having lost all 4 of his grandparents to cancer, a cause close to both of their hearts. The winner this time, though, was Luke Ball. Plenty to come in the men's race. It's the elite men's road race, downtown Ballarat on Sturt Street. It's Ben Hill who has attacked. They're inside the final 10 kilometres. There's no more intermediate sprints to worry about. It's just a race for the green and gold jersey.
And he's taken his chance well here, but look at this. The Avanti team have got all of the men on the front now.
And that was Aaron Donnelly who was at the front. They've got Neil van der Ploeg potentially to win the sprint finish. We've seen a bit of his brother Paul, who's a teammate of Ben Hill. Charter Mason, they've been very active.
Settling down into his time trial mode here. He's just hoping and praying he can hold on now. Let's have a look down the back straight. It's a nice little gap. That's got to be a good 10 seconds. Budget Forklift are back now on the front here.
Well, they've got Scott Sunderland to look after, who I'm surprised has survived so well on such a difficult course for a guy who's just making the transition from being a sprinter on the track across to the road. But he's also looking to Rio for the team's pursuit. Still on the track, but a test of his endurance.
Ben Hill looks over his shoulder, then puts the brakes on hard for this adverse camber sweeper back into the home straight. He's still got 6 or 7 seconds. Here's the peloton. Oh, more. I would reckon he may be out to about 10 or 12 now.
It's been a good night for Canberra so far. We've seen Kimberley Wells take the victory in the elite women's race. Ben Hill might win the Canberra Cup as well as winning the Australian title.
And now Budget Forklifts, all of the team working hard here. Now a little bit of a move. It looked as though it was Cam Bailey again.
It is Cameron Bailey. He has been active. The search to retain health.com.au team going across to Charter Mason's Ben Hill. And you can see Michael Rogers. He's always been near the front, those distinctive bright yellow colours. Can't miss him.
Cam Bailey coming across to Ben Hill. They're looking at 6 laps left to complete this championship, and the strength coming across as well here. This could be a difficult situation now because we still have not seen Steele van Hoff. We've not seen Caleb Ewan, and they are still in this group where they haven't come to the front. Now they're gambling. They're gambling. These two will be caught.
You say difficult situation, but now it's a good situation for Ben Hill. A little bit of conversation, some encouragement between the two of them. They've formed an alliance for now at least, but can they survive off the charging main field?
Well, you know, Matt, that's a very, very nice gap they've got here. The crowd now a little bit quiet at the moment. They're wondering whether these two are going to crack it. Look at that, Drapac in the red, the yellow jerseys of Budget Forklift. The two big teams are trying to do something about it.
And they're extending their lead. They're working well together. Budget Forklifts, they've got effectively their entire team, well, what's left of it at least, trying to control these two. Reaction is coming. Michael Rogers and Travis Meyer pouncing over the top.
Well, there's a surprise. Look at the face of Travis Meyer here from Drapac trying to shut it down. They've got a sprinter who should be able to clean it up if they can get him back. That's Brenton Jones. And he almost over-wobbled on that corner. But look at the chase now by the 3 times world champion, Michael Rogers. He's never medalled in this race.
And look at his composure as he cruises onto the back wheel of Travis Meyer. Travis, he's been the Australian road champion. His older brother Cameron has been a winner here. He needs to get even.
That's right, 2 strong men here, and I think they're coming across because that gap is shut right down now, but while the peloton are staying exactly as they were. They've released 2 more riders to go up towards the leaders. We're not far from the bell.
Heading into the final 2 laps, having Travis Meyer go across, what it does do is it reduces the horsepower in the chase. Drapac, they've got one of the sprinters with Brenton Jones, but they won't be chasing Travis Meyer, surely. They're about to join them at the front and make it 4. But Bailey and Hill, they're not surrendering.
4 very strong riders, and this might well take the race away from the sprinters here. These are long-distance road racing cyclists, particularly Rogers, as they go around that corner. All their heads are twitching to see where the sprinters are, but there's still a gap to close.
That was the hometown favourite, Pat Shaw, the boy from Ballarat, looking over the shoulder with Neil van der Ploeg behind him. The bottom corner for the second last time.
The gap is closing down, Matt, as Drapac bring them through on the inside. Avanti as well. Still a big peloton here. Now, are they going to stay away? They're coming up towards the bell.
They can't afford to play any games of cat and mouse. Bailey, Meyer, Hill, Rogers, the chase being led now by the Drapac team. They've lost faith in the breakaway. They're looking for Jones.
But did you see the face on Travis Meyer there? He's giving it 100% now. Nothing can be saved for the sprint as they get swept up towards the end. They're going to catch them.
It's all together. It's Lee Howard on the front, followed by Caleb Ewan. It's then Neil van der Ploeg and the defending champion, Steele von Hoff. He's in black. He's been the stealth bomber so far. He's ready to charge.
And they open up the sprint. It's a long way to the line. The youngster on the right is Ewan, and it's the defending champion in black, Steele von Hoff. He takes it on the line, and Caleb Ewan gets second place. What a sprint that was.
Brilliant. Here he is, Steele von Hoff, with his former team manager, Andrew Christie Johnson. He would have liked to have won himself, but that's as good as it gets for him. Steele von Hoff kisses his girlfriend Emma. He's the winner.
He's turned it around. The last couple of days of the Bay Classics, he was showing good improvement in form. He saved it for the right moment. He's defended his title.
And another former teammate comes to congratulate him. Here's the sprint. It was a drag race in the end, and Steele just had too much horsepower, getting the victory ahead of Caleb Ewan and the former track sprinter, Scott Sunderland, in third place. A good result.
Very good. First ever road medal for the man who's won multi-medals on the track.
Steele von Hoff defends his title. Here he is with Scott McGrory.
Steele, back-to-back. You weren't sure if you were going to be able to do it, but what a performance.
Yeah, no, pretty stoked about that one. Came around Caleb at the end then, and that's something that I didn't think I could do, so I'm pretty happy about that.
I wouldn't say come around, I'd say you blew past.
I don't know, I had the good wheel, so what can I say? Like AJ hit up the outside and made them sprint early, so I had the perfect sit.
Yeah, you know, I just tried to sit in there and take it as easy as possible, and I think I did that. You know, I was just really conserving the whole time, and Lee was doing a great job covering moves, and you know, nothing was really going to go with him, and we spoke before the start, and he was never going to work with any of the moves either, so yeah, they would always stall and it would come back together.
Oh, very happy. Like, full faith in the guys. They did an amazing job for my first, you know, road nationals in a very long time. You know, very happy with the result, and yeah, full credit to the guys for getting the job of it. Unlucky I couldn't finish it off.
Paul van der Ploeg, he wins the Jayco sprint classification. Aggressive throughout the race, and he gets his reward. Van der Ploeg wins ahead of von Hoff. Donnelly was in third position. The bronze medal, that goes to Scott Sunderland for the budget forklift team, all the way from Western Australia. The silver medal, it's Caleb Ewan, just 20 years of age. Watch for the name, he'll be around for a long time to come. But it's Steele von Hoff who wins for the second year running. He's been so consistent. A third, a second, and 2 first places over the past 4 years. Behind them, Anthony Giacopo was 4th. Angus Tobin rounded out the top 5. Ballarat turned it on for the first day of racing in the Mars Cycling Australia Road National Championships. Phil, it's hard to pick a highlight.
It is hard, actually. You can hear the buzz is still going on around us now. The race has been over 15 minutes. But good sign of form. I'm very pleased for Kimberley Wells. She won it 2 years ago. She's done it again now. And Michael Rogers in the men's event, that alls well for the time trial.
It does, which is tomorrow. But Chris Hamilton, the under-23 champion, I think that's a name you and I are going to have to get used to.
Well, I'm just happy we got it right. We did tip him at the top of the show, remember, and he lived up to his reputation. He rode a fabulous race.
And the elites race, it was Steele von Hoff. He goes back-to-back. Slightly surprising win, despite being the defending champion.
Well, the last couple of days of the Bay Classics, he was showing us he was finding his legs. I was very happy with him, and I was very happy for his victory. You know, Caleb Ewan's the star of the future, no question. But it's nice to be put in your place occasionally.
We go to Buninyong tomorrow for the individual time trial. Big day of racing. Join us then for more from the Mars Australian Cycling Championship.